Yesterday, the U.S. House of Representatives took a significant and rather dramatic step. They voted to reclaim $9 billion in funds that had been previously approved for specific purposes. This decision marks a pivotal moment in the ongoing budget debates. This substantial sum of money had been specifically allocated for foreign aid initiatives designed to support various programs around the globe, and also for public broadcasting, vital programs and services provided by organizations like NPR and PBS, which serve millions of Americans. The vote itself was incredibly close, a razor-thin margin that underscored the contentiousness of the issue. It served to expose the deep and often bitter divisions that currently plague Congress, highlighting the challenges of finding common ground. At its core, this vote represented a fundamental battle over national priorities and the direction of government spending. Should the United States prioritize assisting other countries through foreign aid, or should the focus be primarily on addressing pressing needs here at home? Furthermore, should the government continue to fund public media outlets, or should these institutions be left to rely solely on the private sector and individual donations? The debate surrounding these questions was undeniably heated, filled with passionate arguments and strong convictions. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle passionately defended their positions, articulating their visions for the future of the country. Supporters of the cuts framed them as a necessary step toward achieving greater fiscal responsibility and reducing the national debt. Opponents, however, issued stark warnings about the potential damage to America's international reputation and the devastating impact on vulnerable communities that rely on these programs. The atmosphere within the House chamber was thick with tension, palpable in every corner of the room, as each side meticulously laid out its case, presenting arguments and counter-arguments with unwavering conviction. In the end, the bill narrowly passed, succeeding by just a handful of votes, a testament to the deeply divided nature of the House. This vote wasn't simply about abstract numbers and budget allocations. It was a profound statement about the kind of country we aspire to be and the values we choose to uphold. The decision now moves to the Senate for consideration, where the debate and the fight over these crucial funds will undoubtedly continue with equal intensity. The fate of this $9 billion clawback is far from settled, and its future remains uncertain. The aftershocks of this consequential vote are already rippling through the halls of Washington and extending far beyond the Capitol. The story is just beginning to unfold, with many twists and turns likely to come. The House has firmly drawn a line in the sand, setting the stage for a potentially protracted battle. The next chapter of this saga will be written in the Senate, where the debate will continue. The stakes are incredibly high, and the nation is watching with bated breath, eager to see how this unfolds. This is far more than a mere budget battle or a simple disagreement over numbers. It's a profound test of our values, our priorities, and our commitment to both domestic and international responsibilities. The ultimate outcome of this debate will significantly shape America's role on the world stage and its approach to domestic policy. The ongoing debate over what we choose to fund, and conversely, what we choose to cut, ultimately defines who we are as a nation and what we stand for. The House of Representatives has spoken, making its position clear, but the conversation is far from over and the debate will continue to rage in the days and weeks to come. The future of critical programs like foreign aid and public broadcasting hangs precariously in the balance, awaiting the Senate's decision. The nation waits with anticipation, eager to see what the next chapter holds in this unfolding political drama. The vote can only be described as a political earthquake, sending shockwaves throughout the system. The deep divisions it revealed within the government are not only profound but also appear to be lasting, posing significant challenges for future cooperation. The story of this $9 billion and its ultimate fate is truly just getting started, promising further intrigue and political maneuvering. Stay tuned for further updates as this story continues to develop. To understand this vote and the implications it holds for the future, we need to rewind a few months to the genesis of a new initiative, the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, or, as it's come to be known, DOGE. The White House, facing increasing pressure to demonstrate fiscal responsibility, launched DOGE with a clear mandate to root out wasteful spending wherever it may be hiding. The promise was simple, yet ambitious: to run government like a business, applying corporate strategies to the often complex world of public administration. To spearhead this effort, the president tapped Elon Musk, the tech billionaire and visionary entrepreneur, to lead the charge. Musk's appointment was immediately controversial, sparking heated debates across the political spectrum. But his supporters, a vocal and enthusiastic group, saw him as a disruptor, an outsider who could shake up the entrenched bureaucracy of Washington and bring fresh perspectives to the table. Doge's team, carefully assembled and packed with tech and finance experts drawn from both the private and public sectors, dove headfirst into the labyrinthine federal budget, armed with sophisticated data analytics and cutting-edge machine learning tools. Their mission was laser-focused: find programs, initiatives, and departments that weren't delivering tangible results, identifying areas where taxpayer dollars could be better utilized. After months of painstaking review, sifting through mountains of data and analyzing countless reports, Doge released a comprehensive report, a bombshell that targeted billions of dollars in what they deemed non-essential spending. And right there, at the very top of the list, were significant cuts to unspent foreign aid and the controversial annual funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Musk argued that, in an era of seemingly endless media options available at our fingertips, the justification for continued substantial taxpayer support for public broadcasting was, at best, outdated, and at worst, an inefficient use of public funds. The White House, eager to demonstrate its commitment to fiscal responsibility, embraced Doge's findings with enthusiasm and formally asked Congress to rescind a staggering $9 billion in allocated funds. That request, packaged as a cost-saving measure, became the bill that the House just narrowly passed. The move was undeniably bold, deeply divisive, and has set the stage for the current showdown, a high-stakes battle that will determine the future of government spending. Doge's recommendations, once confined to internal reports, are now at the very heart of a heated national debate. The central question being asked across the country: is this genuine efficiency, a necessary streamlining of government, or is it a dangerous overreach, a reckless dismantling of vital public services? The answer, whatever it may be, will undoubtedly shape the future of government spending for years to come. Musk's influence, once limited to the tech world, is now palpably felt in the hallowed halls of Congress. The battle lines are clearly drawn, the opposing sides are firmly entrenched. The stakes are incredibly high. Billions of dollars hang in the balance, and the future of key government programs that millions of Americans rely on, is uncertain. The story of Doge, once a niche initiative, is now inextricably linked to the story of America's budget, a reflection of our national priorities. The next steps, the decisions that are made in the coming weeks, will ultimately determine if this bold experiment in government efficiency ultimately succeeds in its goals or tragically backfires with unforeseen consequences. All eyes, both in Washington and across the nation, are now focused intently on what happens next. You'll hear the word rescission a lot in discussions about government spending and budget adjustments. It's a term that often surfaces when lawmakers are grappling with fiscal priorities. So, here's what it actually means in the context of federal budgeting. Congress initially approves money, allocating funds for specific purposes and programs, but sometimes before that money is actually spent or dispersed, they have the power to take it back, effectively reversing their initial decision. That's rescission, canceling spending authority that hasn't been used yet, essentially reclaiming previously allocated funds. Think of it as unwriting a check before it's cashed, preventing the funds from being accessed or utilized. This isn't about next year's budget or future allocations. It's about reversing decisions that have already been made and approved, going back on prior commitments. Sometimes rescission happens when government projects come in under budget, resulting in surplus funds that can be reallocated. But this time, it's largely driven by a political choice and strategic maneuvering. The White House and its allies are actively seeking to claw back a substantial $9 billion, specifically targeting funds allocated for foreign aid programs and public broadcasting entities, even though these allocations received prior congressional approval and were considered settled. The proposed bill meticulously lists exactly which specific accounts and programs will be subject to funding reductions. It's a highly targeted reversal of previously approved spending, not just a minor budget tweak or adjustment. Rescission is a powerful tool and inherently controversial in its application. It effectively allows the current majority party to undo decisions made by previous Congresses or administrations, potentially creating instability and uncertainty in the overall funding process for various programs and initiatives. Supporters of rescission often call it a necessary measure to ensure fiscal responsibility. Critics, however, argue that it's a disruptive tactic that undermines long-term planning. The debate surrounding rescission is about far more than just the money involved. It's fundamentally about who gets to decide our national priorities and how resources are allocated. The rescission tool is now positioned squarely at the center of a fierce and increasingly heated political fight within Washington. The ultimate outcome of this battle will undoubtedly set a significant precedent for future budget battles and fiscal policy decisions. This is essentially Washington's way of rewriting the established rules of the game. Mid-game, changing the landscape of budget negotiations. The stakes couldn't be higher as the nation watches how this unfolds. Supporters of the bill say it's about fiscal responsibility. With the national debt soaring, they argue every dollar counts. They see the $9 billion as waste, money not essential to core government functions. On foreign aid, they say America should focus on its own needs first. Problems like infrastructure, healthcare, and border security take priority. For public broadcasting, they argue the media landscape has changed. With endless options, why should taxpayers fund NPR and PBS? If people value these services, they'll support them directly. Supporters frame this as common sense. Cut outdated spending, promote a free market, and stop picking winners and losers. For some, it's also political. They claim public broadcasting has a liberal bias. The message, government should spend less and let the market decide. Opponents call the cuts short-sighted and damaging. They argue foreign aid is an investment in national security, not charity. Cutting it undermines global health, stability, and America's credibility. Many projects are multi-year commitments. Rescinding funds breaks promises to allies. Critics warn this move creates a leadership vacuum for adversaries to fill. On public broadcasting, they say NPR and PBS are lifelines in rural areas, often the only source of local news and emergency alerts. Federal support is a small but crucial part of their budgets. Losing it could create news deserts and weaken democracy. For opponents, these cuts threaten both America's global standing and its informed citizenry. Cutting billions from foreign aid would have immediate real-world effects. Global health programs, vaccines, disease prevention, maternal care could be halted midstream. Humanitarian assistance for disasters and crises would shrink, limiting America's ability to respond quickly. Long-term development and democracy-building projects would be canceled, wasting prior investments. Aid groups warn lives are at stake, and America's reliability as a partner is on the line. The message to allies, America may not keep its promises, the impact would be felt worldwide. The cuts would hit local public broadcasting stations hardest, especially in rural areas. Federal funds flow through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to over 1,500 local stations. For many, this is the seed money that keeps them on the air. Without it, small stations could shut down, creating news deserts and leaving communities without local coverage or emergency alerts. The loss of federal support would also make private fundraising harder, threatening the entire public broadcasting network. The result: less local news, less accountability, and a weaker democracy. The future of NPR and PBS hangs in the balance. The House debate revealed a stark ideological divide. One Republican argued, "My constituents sent me to be a steward of their tax dollars, not bankroll the world or media that ignores their values." On the other side, a Democratic leader countered, "This isn't stewardship, it's sabotage of our security, our communities, and our character." The debate is about more than money. It's about America's identity. One side sees cuts as fiscal discipline and putting America first. The other sees them as abandoning leadership and undermining democracy. These clashing visions define the fight over the $9 billion. The outcome will shape America's future at home and abroad. The bill now heads to the Senate, where the outcome is uncertain. The Senate's rules and slim majority make passage difficult. Intense lobbying is underway from both sides: White House, DOJ, aid groups, and public broadcasting supporters. Moderate senators will decide the fate of the cuts. Compromise is possible, but legal and procedural hurdles remain. The Senate's decision will reveal the true balance of power in Washington. The future of $9 billion and America's priorities hangs on this vote. The nation is watching what happens next.